Hey fam, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe before we begin. In today's video, we're going to go over how I let everything go and I gave it to God. I literally left everything behind and moved across the country. This is also known as my testimony. So I hope you enjoy the video and I hope it moves you the same way that it moved me. Without further ado, let's get to it. I left everything behind and moved across the country. I had just turned 25 and I was ready for something new to really level up. I decided to couch surf. At one point I even stayed at my boss's house and dog sat. It made me really think about where my next home was. The experience turned from something casual to something deeply spiritual. I began to pray to God for clarity and discernment on where exactly He needed me. And I decided to surrender my life to God, to say, hey, from here on out, I make every single choice and decision with you, God. My life is empty without you. And so I want to start again. I want to do it right this time. I want to feel fulfilled and happy. And I know that I can never have that. No amount of materialistic possession or career or title or status can ever fill that void. God, only you can. And so God, I am surrendering my life to you. I say yes to you. Whatever it is that you need, you can have. My life belongs to you, and I trust you with all of my life. And so, of course, when you do something like that, when you make such a declaration, God is going to test you. And I think the very first test was the letting go. I was praying for discernment, and I said, God, I don't know where I'm going, but I feel this nudge from you to move. God, I feel this nudge from you and I don't know where I'm going. Will you please bless me with your clarity and your discernment? And one day I had opened up a book to a random page and it said, move to Phoenix, Arizona. I had 4 days left until my lease was up. So I had 4 days to figure out how I was going to do this. I had to literally let go of everything. Everything that I had accumulated over the past 3 years of my life, I had to let it all go. From the first things I've ever bought for my first apartment to the new sophisticated art, I had to let it all go. And so I said, okay, God, I started reaching out to neighbors, friends. I listed things on Facebook Market. And when the first buyer came over, he came to buy the body mirror. As he was walking out the door with the mirror, I remember this initial resistance in my body that said, hey, stop, that's mine. What are you doing? And it was like this physical resistance I could feel, but I knew that it was necessary in order to truly know what it means to surrender your life to God. Once I got past that, it was like an ego death. I was able to give graciously and give more freely, and I was detached from all the materialistic objects I had. I felt more aligned spiritually. I was like, okay, at the end of the day, none of this belongs to me. None of this is mine at the end of the day. Yes, I had bought it. Yes, I may call it mine, but it is not mine. I am okay without it. And I like it when I have it, but I'm okay without it. And so I think that was a very significant lesson from the beginning, that if I am truly God's child and I am truly going to move by faith and I am truly going to know God, then God is going to say, hey, I need you to let go of the old and make space for the new. And I'm going to need you to detach from every single thing you think you are. And so physically, it started with the letting go of the objects, but then figuratively, it meant the shedding of this old identity in flesh and finding my new identity in God. And I had to let go of limiting beliefs and doubts and fears. And I had to know faith and courage and what it meant to move by faith and not by sight. So I had to let go of all of it. That was the first L in leveling up. Now the next L was locking in and leaning onto God's understanding. So the minute I had booked my flight and landed in Arizona, I had to lock in and job hunt relentlessly. I had initially stayed with a potential roommate, and that was my initial plan. That was my initial plan. And when things went sideways with that, I had to learn how to lean onto God's understanding and away from my own. I was back to couch surfing, and I was staying in different hotels and motels, and some nights I truly didn't know where I was gonna sleep, where my next destination was. And I was experiencing this all while starting a new job that I had just gotten after experiencing 50 no's. I just kept telling myself, rejection is just redirection. And so my initial plan was I was gonna move here, I was gonna get a job as a waitress at Nightlife or something easy like that, and stay with this new roommate. And I absolutely loved that none of that worked out for me, because had I worked in Nightlife and made quick money and stayed with this person, I probably wouldn't be closer to who I am with God, because Nightlife is low vibration. It's negative, it's toxic, and that's what I was moving away from. In this new person, I appreciated our experiences, but who knows, maybe she wasn't really aligned with my walk with God. So, it wasn't supposed to happen on purpose. And in that, I had to learn how to let people down. Sometimes saying yes to you and no to others will upset that other person. And at the end of the day, if you pray about your decision, if you pray about clarity and it feels right in your bones, then it does not have to make sense to anybody else but you and God. And that's part of the reason why I was able to move so confidently through the Texas couch surfing to coming here, job hunting, and through the fears and through the doubts, I was still able to move with confidence, like I am moving on purpose. I am moving with God. I am walking by faith and not by sight. So yes, when things went left, I was able to keep on making that next right move because I had God with me and I was leaning on God's way. And so I trusted, said, okay, where do you need me to go? And I was praying in these different hotels. I was crying, and I was crying some days, and I was upset on other days. I had remembered there was this one apartment that my heart was so drawn to that I told myself, I deserve this place. I am worthy of it. I am the person who is financially equipped to afford this place. But I need your clarity. I need your confirmation that this is my home. So one day before I went into work, I decided to go to this very apartment. And I went up to the front desk lady, shout out to Jordan, and I asked her, I said, hey, is it okay if I use your restroom and just get myself ready before I go into work? And she said, yes. Here are the keys. It's going to be right down the hallway to the left. I said, okay. And so as I'm walking down the hallway, I'm thinking to myself, okay, is this where I'm supposed to be? Is this the right place? Have I finally found my home after these past 4 months of couch surfing? Is it finally the right place, God? Is this my home? And right before I opened that bathroom door, I said, okay, God, let's talk. The minute I opened that bathroom door, my eyes land on this very little object that to me looked a little bit like Jesus. My eyes landed on Jesus. The moment my eyes saw this, my body had goosebumps and I cried of feeling so much relief. I've never felt so seen and heard in my life until that moment. And so although that day was not my move-in day, it gave me that staying power to wait the wait, because I had 1 more month to move into that place. So the wait was worth it. It was hard, but it was worth it. I worked, and then I would go to a hotel, and then I'd work, and then I'd go to a different hotel, and then I worked. And so all up until my very first move-in day. This is one thing I had to take note of. When we're moving with God, the enemy sees. And so the enemy wants to trick you into thinking you can't do a thing because the enemy knows that you can, because the enemy knows that you're capable. I prayed with God and I said, God, rebuke all evil in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. I can do all things through you and with you. And if this is from you, then no one can take it away. and I am worthy and I'm deserving of this blessing. I think in the waiting period, that's when God's like, hey, do you trust me with this? Do you believe me? Are you with me? And through your patience, God will see your discipline and your faith and your belief. And I think I was able to truly be disciplined in that because I prayed and I prayed and I showed up and I prayed and I worked through the fears and I worked through the doubts. And I said, God, if we're in this together, I am fully committed to you. Then I'm going to dedicate a prayer room to you. And I remember just being in that prayer room and I started laughing because I was like, wow, God, you really do take up space, don't you? You got your whole room here now. It's been just a beautiful but very challenging journey all at the same time. In the midst of that challenge, it's what made it so worth it, because I don't think the reward was the new apartment, or so I thought it was at the beginning of this journey. But now I know the true reward is my relationship with God. I have never felt so close to God than I do now. I now know that anywhere I go, I am safe, and anywhere that I go, I am being followed by the grace of God, and that God will always provide for me. If I could just encourage anybody that has felt this calling to move, to level up, to welcome God into your life, to take this as your sign and your confirmation, to say yes and just see what happens, because it might just turn out better than you expected. When you have God on your side, you will never lack anything. You may have to wait a while to receive some things, but God knows that you need food. God knows that you need a bed. God knows that you need a roof over your head. God knows these things. God knows what you need in order to survive. And God will never, ever, ever forget about you and leave you empty-handed. So that is my confirmation to you. That is my testimony to you that this did not just come from my own doing. This was God's doing. Take a chance on God. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that my experience and my testimony was able to touch you in the way that it has truly touched me. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and I will see you in our next video. Love you.